You're tuning into the English News Bulletin here on VTV International. We're live from Hanoi. In the following, we'll take a look at the headlines for this bulletin. Japanese Prime Minister's advisor is welcomed here in Vietnam. Vietnam and Cambodia celebrating 50 years of friendship. And later on, serving soldiers help veterans. We'll begin now with the top news here in our bulletin. The Japanese and Vietnamese governments are actively discussing an action plan to better implement the bilateral extensive strategic partnership. Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc said this to Kawai Kusuyuki, who is the special advisor to Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, during a reception held in Hanoi on Tuesday. Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc informed the special advisor that Vietnam would offer all possible support for Japan to launch key investment projects in transport and energy in Vietnam in the near future, delivering on commitments between the two prime ministers. Katsuyuki, for his part, conveyed Abe's message to the host, saying that Japan highly valued Vietnam's strategic position and wished to further enhance the extensive strategic partnership between the two countries. The guest said that Japan would support and accelerate the progress of key transport and energy projects here in Vietnam. Communist Party of Vietnam General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng is embarking on an official state visit to Cambodia at the invitation of the King of Cambodia, Norodom Sihamoni. This visit bears great historical significance as the two nations celebrate the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations. The following report quickly recaps the relationship ahead of the visit.
The assistance provided by volunteer Vietnamese military forces in the liberation of Cambodia from Pol Pot's genocidal regime is an obvious milestone in the 50-year-strong friendship between Cambodia and Vietnam. Thousands of Vietnamese troops crossed the border to fight to liberate Cambodia, following the call of Hun Sen, who is now the current Cambodian Prime Minister. 40 years later, the Cambodian leader returned to Vietnam to speak on behalf of the Cambodian people and government.
Vietnam had to pay a hefty price to liberate Cambodia and her people. The Vietnamese gave their lives, their military strength, wealth, political reputation, and diplomatic popularity. We will never forget that Vietnam also had to endure sanctions to come to our aid.
The historical bond created the foundation for the prospering economic ties between the two nations. Vietnam now has around 200 investment projects in Cambodia, with total estimated capital of $3 billion. Bilateral trade turnover reached $3 billion and is likely to soon top $5 billion.
The Cambodian government highly value economic ties with Vietnam. Vietnamese investment projects in aviation and finance have greatly benefited Cambodian businesses.
The party leaders' visit will be a great opportunity for the two peoples to look back at the achievements and significance of the 50 years of friendship. It will open up many more collaborative opportunities in all fields.
Cambodian and Vietnamese leaders both share the belief that the bond over the past half-century is an invaluable gift. This promises to enrich the diplomatic relations between Cambodia and Vietnam and set the stage for its further development.
Also in news related to Vietnam-Cambodia relations, a ceremony took place at Lệ Thanh border gate to officially inaugurate the truck passage between Cambodia and Vietnam. Now, Vietnamese Deputy Prime Minister Trịnh Đình Dũng and his Cambodian counterpart, Khe Kim Yan, attended the event. The new border gate route promises to reduce transportation costs and processing time for road freight. This is intended to facilitate cross-border trade and boost economic collaboration between the two nations. In the past few years, Guangdong Province has always been one of China's leading localities for economic and trade cooperation with Vietnam. In order to further facilitate business contacts and seek investment opportunities, the Vietnam, Guangdong and Hong Kong-China Business Forum was held in Hanoi on Wednesday. The event attracted nearly 300 delegates, including government and business leaders from 12 provinces and cities of Vietnam, as well as from Guangdong and Hong Kong.
Nguyễn Thành Công owns an IT company. His company is outsourcing to some major software companies around the world through a contract for a software company based in Singapore. He hopes to find the same opportunity with businesses from Hong Kong and Guangdong.
Hong Kong is one of the places where multinational corporations are based. So we want to find an opportunity in the global supply chain of the information industry.
Guangdong and Vietnam are considered complementary in terms of trade cooperation. Guangdong has strength in high technology, manufacturing and clean energy, all of which are in line with Vietnam's need in the development process. At the same time, the province also needs a large amount of farm produce when it produces only about 10 million tons of food compared to its demand for about 45 million tons per year. This is an opportunity for agricultural products and seafood, which are the strengths of Vietnam.
In order to effectively cooperate between the two sides, the governments should create favourable conditions for the enterprises, and at the same time, businesses must take the initiative in cooperating, and it is important to follow the market rules.
Guangdong Province trade is over $1 trillion, while trade between Vietnam and Guangdong last year was about $17 billion, which account for only a few percent of Guangdong's import-export turnover, so the potential is huge.
Up to last December, 92 Guangdong firms has registered business in Vietnam. In 2016, two-way trade between Guangdong and Vietnam reached $17 billion, up 2.9% from 2015. With the potential for cooperation between the two sides, these figures are expected to continue increasing in the coming time.
The high-level political forum on sustainable development is taking place at the United Nations headquarters in New York City of the United States. With 36 major sessions and nearly 150 sideline events, the forum is an opportunity, it is said, for UN member states to discuss ways in order to achieve their sustainable development goals that were approved back in 2015. A Vietnamese delegation is attending this forum.
No poverty and no hunger. Good health and well-being. Gender equality. Industry, innovation and infrastructure. Life below water. And finally, partnerships for goals. Those are 7 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals revealed at the United Nations High-Level Political Forum this year. This year's forum revealed progress, shared successful experiences, and highlighted challenges in implementing the Sustainable Development Goals. The Vietnamese delegation contributed to the discussions and affirmed Vietnam's commitment and determination to effectively implement the UN's goals for sustainable development.
Vietnam always considers sustainable development as a common goal in the country's development strategy and remains committed to successfully implement Vietnam's SDGs. However, the implementation of SDGs in the country faces significant challenges, including the lack of financial resources.
On the sidelines of the forum, Vietnam hosted a seminar on information technology and poverty reduction. This is Vietnam's initiative to contribute to the forum's discussions in line with its theme.
In the framework of events to celebrate 50 years of ASEAN, Hanoi has hosted a seminar entitled 50 Years of ASEAN, ASEAN Economic Community's Opportunities for Vietnamese Enterprises, and that was held yesterday on July 19th. At the event, experts agreed that the ASEAN Economic Community, or AEC as it's known, unified the process of goods circulation. However, according to a report, 94% of Vietnamese enterprises know about AEC, but only less than 17% of them understand the commitments of the community. In 2016, Vietnam's exports to ASEAN member countries decreased by 5.6%, while imports fell by 2%. Competition from ASEAN countries is one of the biggest challenges for Vietnamese enterprises in the AEC to sustain and develop their businesses. The export turnover of agroforestry fishery reached $17.1 billion in the first 6 months of 2017. The export of vegetables and fruits has increased by more than 40% compared to the same period of last year. This surge is due to the changes in production methods, it is said. Farmers now use cleaner and safer processes, which has impacted the fruit export volume over the past months.
For a few years now, Hoek has been following strict methods of fertilizing soil and spraying insects which are based on VTGAP and Global Gap criteria. He is also the first person to wrap mangoes before harvest to prevent insects from eating them.
The VTGAP and Global Gap programs provide guidelines for the safe use of pesticides. This provides safe produce for consumers in the end.
Over the past 2 years, 34 rambutan orchards from Binh Hoa Phước Cooperative have been following Global Gap standards. By the end of 2016, rambutan had been exported to France at double the domestic market price.
Produce with certified Global Gap standards have much higher values than normal produce. The high prices are because the produce meets the criteria of demanding markets in Europe.
We have seen great transformation in the farming practices of local farmers, especially in following safety standards. Farmers are now familiar with the VTGAP and Global Gap standards.
The Mekong Delta now has 1,200 hectares for fruit growing, thus certified with VTGAP and Global Gap standards, which account for less than 1% of its total production area. Local farmers are now set to move towards cleaner and safer production to enter new and promising markets.
The state audit has criticized the haphazard approach to public debt management between the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Planning and Investment, and the State Bank of Vietnam. The state audit made the comment at a meeting with the National Assembly's Finance and Budget Committee on Wednesday, which was discussing the draft law on public debt management. The state audit suggested that the Ministry of Finance should take the lead in matters of the public debt, while other agencies will play a coordinating role. The state audit agreed with the definition of the public debt, which doesn't include the debts held by state-owned enterprises. Nevertheless, the failure to repay foreign debts of state-owned enterprises may affect the country's credit grade. The state audit also proposed to have more regulations on risk management, supervision, and national debt safety. In the next part of our live edition of VTV News, serving soldiers help veterans. And later on, we'll check out the overseas Vietnamese summer camp as it just kicked off here in the country. You're back here on our live edition of VTV News. Search and rescue divers have found the body of a crew member inside a coal ship that sank off the coast of the northern central province of Nghệ An. After 3 hours of searching the wreck in bad weather conditions, divers found the body of one crew member. The victim has been identified as a 33-year-old male from Haiphong City. His body has been brought ashore and his family has been informed. 3 crew members are still missing, and our news bulletin will continue to follow the developments in the search and rescue efforts. According to forecasts, from now until July 22nd, the northern region of Vietnam will continue to experience heavy rains, especially in the Midland and the mountainous districts with precipitation of 20 to 70 millimeters. Rain will be the hardest, it is said, on tonight with July 20th, with precipitation exceeding 80 millimeters. There's a high risk of prolonged rains, storms, and landslides in the northern mountainous area, especially in the area of Lào Cai, Yên Bái, Lai Châu, Sơn La, Điện Biên, as well as Hà Giang, Hòa Bình, and Bắc Cạn. In the next 12 to 24 hours, the water level of the Thao River will decrease, it is said. The river that passes Yên Bái City is forecast to have a water level of 0.2 to 0.7 millimeters above alarm level 1. A tropical storm Talas made landfall in the central province of Nghệ An back on Monday, resulting in strong wind and heavy rainfall that destroyed thousands of houses and agricultural production areas. The damage done was especially heavy because farmers were just days away from the harvest season.
Tropical storm Talas landed in Nghệ An province earlier than predicted, causing damage to crops that were about to be harvested. Khai's cornfield is set to be harvested in a month. It has now been reduced to food for cattle.
It's just 1 month away from harvest time, but now my corn is only good enough to feed cattle. I had to throw some away too.
We have to salvage what's left of our watermelon crops. It is too late now to replant another crop.
The tropical storm destroyed 2,000 hectares of sesame, 500 hectares of maize, and 300 hectares of watermelon, which caused a loss of tens of billions of Vietnam dong for farmers in Dien Châu district.
Agricultural production is the main source of income for Dien Châu district, but the recent storm has caused too much damage. We are reviewing the damaged area and considering possible support for the farmers.
Tropical storms usually hit the province at the end of the year, after crops have been harvested. Local farmers caught off guard will now have to pick up the pieces on their fields.
The Dan Lai ethnic group is one of the smallest of Vietnam's 54 ethnic groups, with a population of just only over 3,000 people living scattered across 5 communes of Con Cuông district in the northern central province of Nghệ An. In order to sustainably ensure the development of this ethnic group, the National Fund for Vietnamese Children has provided free health checks and medicines to all Dan Lai children under the age of 16. This is part of the government's project to strengthen children's health and promote the lives of this small ethnic group.
La Thị Bốn is only 22 years old, but she is the mother of 3 children. In these areas, motherhood comes early. The old custom of young marriage and intermarriage still exists, affecting the health and conditions of Dan Lai ethnic group children. One of the most serious illnesses due to a lack of new blood in the family lines is thalassemia.
Since they are clustered near Bumat, a national park, marriages among close relatives and underage marriages often happen. According to the National Institute of Hematology and Blood Transfusion, 50% of children here have the possibility of getting thalassemia. If we don't examine and treat the affected children, it could have a great impact on the development of this community.
Testing for thalassemia, examining for eye defects, cleft palate, and especially congenital heart disease. This is the most thorough medical examination and treatment the Dan Lai ethnic children have ever experienced.
We have brought the Echocardiogram Machine to test for congenital heart diseases and heart diseases. We brought some machines here from Da Nang. This is a modern machine that can perform an ultrasound on all the Danlai children in order to find and treat congenital heart diseases.
The district have undertaken a variety of activities, such as giving out free medicine, but it was at a basic level and not really targeted. These examinations were very thorough, and the doctors can diagnose illnesses.
Existing illnesses during the examination will be treated as soon as possible. This is one of the first activities of the National Fund for Vietnamese Children. Each Danlai child will have health records, and they will be monitored over the 10 years of the project.
July 27th is a date in the country's history to remember the efforts made by those who laid down their lives for the country. For the soldiers of the 2nd Army Corps, however, repaying veterans for their efforts continues throughout the year. What do these soldiers do? We take a closer look in the following.
Thuy is the wife of a returned serviceman suffering from toxic chemicals during the war. Her house is severely dilapidated and the family sheltered in their old kitchen. The men of the 2nd Army Corps stepped in to give the family $3,500 to rebuild their home.
I'm overwhelmed with joy. I've never been more relieved.
Millions of dollars have been donated, while hundreds of houses have been built for families of the veterans over the years. This is how the 2nd Army Corps have repaid the veterans that fought before them. Gratitude and care for their comrades are the core principles of the unit.
Repaying former servicemen for their contributions is not only a one-off activity, but an inherent part of our military service.
In remote areas of the region, supporting servicemen's families has been an integral mission for each and every member of the 2nd Army Corps. Not only is this a way to pay respect to the predecessors, but also a way of bonding with local people.
Products made of woven bamboo are a familiar sight to Vietnamese customers, and they have become symbols of Vietnamese rural villages. Nevertheless, demand has dwindled, and many craft villages have disappeared as a result. In the following report, we visit a village in Phu Yên province that continues to preserve this traditional craft.
No one seems to know exactly when bamboo weaving in Vinh Ba village started. The villagers are known for their work ethics, and their products are famous for being durable, just like the bamboos they are made out of.
If you do it half-heartedly, the products will never be good.
A person would need a whole day to finish a rice cake drying rack like these. These racks are sold for only a little more than $1 at the market. Despite that, the local villagers find it hard to quit weaving.
I can only sit idle for a day or two, otherwise I'll start to feel irritated and have to look for bamboo to weave. I hope that in the future, our grandchildren can preserve this craft.
Luan just entered the 4th grade this year. However, he has been weaving bamboos since he was in 1st grade.
My mom taught me how to weave. It was very difficult at first, but things got easier afterwards.
The people in Vinh Ba village hope that the craft of bamboo weaving will survive. For them, as long as they can weave bamboo, the soul and traditions of the village will remain.
The International Fingerstyle Guitar Festival took place in Hanoi on Wednesday. This is the 3rd time the festival has come to Vietnam. It welcomed famous singer picking guitars from all over the world, inspiring the love for fingerstyle guitar techniques in younger generations.
This year, Fingerstyle Guitar Festival was attended by 5 famous guitarists from America, Belgium, Spain, Japan and Vietnam. the Vietnamese and international audiences had the chance to enjoy varying styles of music and diverse fingerstyle playing techniques from all around the world.
I am very impressed with Tanaka's performance because his style is very beautiful. He knows how to engage with the audience by creating a warm atmosphere. I do not feel any boundary between the stage and the audience. I only see two worlds merged with passionate music.
But every year different artists come from abroad, from everywhere, and well, you can hear different kinds of music, different performance styles. You have your frame of comparison, and well, you just can't stop loving it. The artists, of course, the performance, they were great. Every single one of them was great, and well, I cannot really pick the one who was my favorite tonight.
Fingerstyle has been thriving in recent years. In this genre, a single guitarist can play as if he's an entire band. Evoking images of warm Spanish summer nights, fingerpicking is a popular style of acoustic guitar playing in Europe and the West, and that is starting to flourish in Vietnam.
We are first and foremost guitarists, not just organizers of the event. We want to form a fingerstyle community in Vietnam. The event is aimed to promote the development of this genre in Vietnam, and we want audiences to enjoy and submerge in the melodies of acoustic music.
The second night of the festival will take place in Ho Chi Minh City on July the 18th, before moving to South Korea and finally China as the last leg of the tour.
Young people of Vietnamese descent are gathering again for the Vietnam summer camp happening here in the country. The opening ceremony took place last night at the Ho Chi Minh City Youth Center to kick off a series of activities across the country. This is a chance for 100 Vietnamese youths from 25 countries to explore Vietnam, its culture and traditions. It's also an opportunity for the next generations of overseas Vietnamese to reflect on their diversity. The biggest delegations come from the Czech Republic, Germany, Laos, Russia, Ukraine, the United States, and after Ho Chi Minh City, the group will set off to learn more about the river lifestyle of the Mekong Delta region, as well as the history of the area. This summer camp will run until the 31st of July. In the following now, we'll take a look at your updated weather forecasts. And that's all we have for this edition of VTV News. We'll be back again at 3 p.m. local time today for another updated bulletin. In the meantime, you can log on to our website and YouTube channel for more updated news. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time.